Alright guys, welcome to the GarageCast. And from that alone, you can tell that we're going to be talking about Star Wars.
No, Star Trek.
Oh, what the fuck? I got the wrong memo.
Yeah.
What was that? More specifically, this is a podcast that we plan on doing to segue into our film study and film analysis type stuff, which is whatever, that's down the line. Right now, if you're into Star Wars, feel free to stick around. We might be able to shed some light and share some different opinions that you may not have thought about previously, about the new films, the old films, whatever. So with me today, I have a couple of familiar faces and actually one who's new to us today, and feel free to introduce yourself.
We just found him on the street.
Yeah, he's a dirty bum.
Yeah, I'm John. I'm a homeless
Star Wars fan.
Oh yeah, I'm a homeless Star Wars fan. I dream about Star Wars every night. It's an honor to be on the podcast because I'm homeless. And I finally have a roof.
Wait, one more time? I didn't quite hear that.
I'm homeless.
Okay.
We're paying him $5 to be on this. $5 exactly. Now we have...
And then I'm Louis. You guys already know me, except for the people that are watching this one for the first time, because we only have 4 podcasts. This being the 4th one.
Right, we have Cameron.
Oh, so cute. So to begin things, guys, we're going to be talking about, well, obviously, Star Wars. First things first, I guess we should address, what got us into Star Wars in the first place. Actually, you know what? We'll do that next. What did you guys think when it was first announced a few years back when Disney announced that they would be acquiring Star Wars? Stop it, you fucking nerd.
That shit hurt.
Alright, whoever wants to speak up. What did you guys think when Disney announced they were acquiring Star Wars?
I wasn't so much excited when I heard that they were acquiring Star Wars. I was more excited when I heard that they were revamping it and doing a new trilogy. I was fucking ecstatic. The same way I was ecstatic when EA announced that they were redoing Battlefront. Mm-hmm. So I guess I was more just happy to see the Star Wars name up again in theaters, and was really excited for anything that they had to offer until they brought it, and then things changed.
And then they fucked us.
I mean, pretty much the same. I saw Star Wars and I was like, oh, it's back! And I didn't even think of the whole Disney thing. And then after the first movie, I was like,
I don't know if it's gonna be the way I want it to be.
Not
Little Family Guy clutching the knee, just like.
Yeah.
What about you, Cameron? What do you think?
Honestly, the same as Louis. The Disney part really didn't sell me. Just the fact that Star Wars was coming back is Star Wars was my childhood, so I was like, fuck yes, it can be my adulthood now.
Mm-hmm. I remember thinking specifically for me that I thought a lot of the old stories were gonna get carried through from the books and comic books, but then immediately after. Well, actually, let's just get straight into what made you guys like Star Wars to begin with. So feel free.
For me, I just grew up with it. The Phantom Menace came out the same year I was born, and my dad was a huge Star Wars fan, so obviously the prequels coming out with my dad being a Star Wars fan, it was just a part of my life growing up. So who's knocking on the door?
I have no idea.
I hear that though. I can hear it in the audio too.
Okay. You guys continue. I'll be right back.
It's a fucking ghost. It's a Force ghost. It's Obi-Wan.
What the fuck is that?
He knows we're talking shit.
Yeah.
Alright,
Well,
go ahead, John.
I mean, for me, it was my whole childhood, but I remember specifically because my mom was a huge fan. She was a huge Star Trek fan, and then she was a huge Star Wars fan as well. And I remember her putting her hand on my shoulder saying, "Little Timmy, little John."
Yeah, about to say, what the fuck?
I'm going to show you something right now.
Oh, I don't want to know where this is going.
And it's going to change your life. And I remember her sitting me down and showing me, pretty sure it was A New Hope. And I was instantly hooked. And throughout my whole childhood, it was all just Star Wars.
While Cameron's away, I'll just completely agree with you. A lot of people get there because we were born around the time the Phantom Menace came out, But for me personally, because we didn't really go to theaters, and I was a 4-year-old kid who stayed at home, and we had a VCR. We watched dumb movies like Final Destination, I think. And we had a Nintendo 64, so, very 90s family, even though it was early 2000. What's it called? I already said it, it's VCR. We had a VCR, and I essentially was forced to watch old VCR movies, and obviously we had the whole fucking Star Wars VCR collection 4, 5, and 6. And so, you know what, that meant that all I did all day was watch 4, 5, and 6. And I remember growing up, you know, experiencing, now that Cameron's away, I guess we can't really get his input. But I know for sure, for me, a big focus from Star Wars was the Jedis, the lightsabers, you know, and that really struck a chord with me. And the whole like Jedi Knight, the idea of like a Bushido code, the kind of thing that they're like warrior monks. They're mixed with like knights, but also kind of like samurai. You know, and there's a lot of like influence of that. And for whatever reason, the aesthetic of Star Wars, especially that of like the Empire, just really stuck with me. You know, of course, down the line when Clone Wars came out and the clones were introduced, that became my focus. Cat just ran outside. That became my focus. The clones. I always just loved to see the clones on screen and just how cool they were. And I don't know, dude. The clones were just a big focus of Star Wars for me.
Yeah, being that I mean, obviously when the prequels came out, they were received about as poorly as, not as poorly, but they were received pretty poorly. I was gonna say as poorly as the Disney ones, but I don't know. I was a little kid when they came out, so I was happy with whatever. I was just happy to see Star Wars, you know. But yeah, when the clones were first introduced in Episode 2, that was something that was really interesting to me. And then when the Clone Wars came out later, of course I got the movie on DVD when I was younger, the Clone Wars movie. Which, for those of you who don't know, the Clone Wars TV show on Netflix was a movie first, and then the show came afterwards.
Very good show, by the way. Anybody can check it out.
Yeah.
Pretty quick. Just watch an episode whenever you have extra time.
Yeah, and then, you know, the Clone Wars, the show itself is fucking amazing. Like, I mean, the first 2 seasons are all right, and then after that, it kind of became what everyone thinks of the show as, you know. And that show is really what I feel like Star Wars is like really about. You know what I mean? Yeah, it's Star Wars.
Yeah, exactly.
It's something that I don't know. I mean, that and like playing Battlefront growing up, and even playing the Star Wars Episode 3 game. I don't know if you guys played that.
I didn't play that one, but I've played a bunch of like knockoff Star Wars games for the 64.
It's just a thing that was like the same way it kind of blew up when it got announced that it was coming back today, or well, not today, but like a few years ago. It blew up back in the early 2000s when the prequels were coming out, and so it was just everywhere when I was a little kid, and it was all around me when I was growing up.
A big focus was the toys. They had an extreme amount of toys,
Yeah.
and obviously I think that's a big reason why people liked clones too, was because they made tons and tons and tons of toys.
I had a ton. I would literally get the same clone toy because they would sell them individually, and I would get the same ones over and over again, so I could have a little like
Army,
unit. Yeah.
It was fucking sick. The whole time I was always like ready to get the cooler clones, and so I would always see like the basic vanilla ones, and even they were badass. But like every time I saw like the blue ones, I would drop anything that I was doing, and I'd just be like, "Mom, please, I need this."
Yeah.
Let's see what else is there.
But see, like that's the thing about me, it's weird because I remember growing up never buying any of the action figures. For me, it was all about the Lego sets.
Yeah, the Lego sets.
The
Yeah,
Legos,
we have Legos right here.
Because
and the movies, if you guys hadn't noticed, pretty much all of them.
yeah,
Lighting might be a bit bad, but they're there.
But half of the whole Star Wars universe for me growing up was not only the movies but the Lego sets.
And creating your own stories.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, no, the Lego sets were a big part of it for me too. I didn't mention that, but
I would just do random shit with my Lego sets and throw them across the room and just rebuild it, you know?
Yeah.
I was too young to build the sets myself, so I usually had family members do it for me, and then I just fuck it all up. So that's kind of a bad thing for me. But, yeah, go ahead.
I pretty much exclusively had Star Wars Legos growing up. I had like I had some Indiana Jones ones and like some just random, you know, like normal Lego sets, but I pretty much exclusively had Star Wars Lego sets for most of the time growing up.
All right, Cameron, we're talking about what we loved about Star Wars and what made us fall in love with it. You've got 2 minutes. Go. I'm just kidding. Take as much time as you need.
Well, it's about to get really dark, but I got bullied a lot in school. So
okay, everybody got bullied for liking Star Wars.
No, this is like I got bullied for everything.
You like Star Wars?
What a nerd. Fucking nerd. Kid.
I breathe.
Jesus Christ.
But Star Wars is just a way to like get me out of the world that I was living in.
You wouldn't want to be reminded about the pain that you're going through,
Yeah.
essentially.
So
The pain of the
real life.
elementary school.
Well, that's what
Confusion.
movies and video games are. It's all escapism. That's what all
Yeah.
forms of entertainment
But
are.
I was sheltered, and like this was like the only way my parents
Yeah.
would like let me watch anything. I remember I didn't watch anything else besides Star Wars for years. I would just
Yeah.
keep watching the movies over and over and over again.
And Star Wars and Halo were that for me.
Star Wars and Halo.
Yeah.
I didn't really get bullied growing up. I did when I did live in Colorado for a little while. I definitely did not fit in. I don't know if I would consider it bullying, but I didn't fit in with the kids that I grew up with in
Must be
Colorado.
nice.
Huh?
Must be nice.
I didn't get bullied for Star Wars. I got
But-
bullied. I got bullied for just being fucking weird.
I definitely got made fun of for liking Star Wars though, because I was the kid that would we'd have like a presentation that we had to do to the class, and I would do Star Wars for my presentation, to figure out a way to relate it to
I
that.
brought my Darth Vader mask to show and tell.
Yeah.
I got made fun of it, but yeah.
That sounds badass. What the fuck is wrong with that? I remember we had a friend a while back. I won't mention his name because I fuck that up all the time. But I remember he did a whole project in elementary school on Star Wars Battlefront 2, and he would pronounce Utapau as Utapu. And I got so frustrated. I was like, "You mean Utapau?" in front of the whole class, and he was like, "No, it's Utapu." And I was like, "No, it's
Excuse
fucking
They
not.
literally
It's-
pronounce
they
it
pronounce
as
yes.
Utapau in the game.
Yes, exactly. And I didn't want to get any details, but just thinking about that day back in 5th grade, it's already triggering me. I'm already about to get upset about Utapu.
That's funny.
I think one thing though is that before Disney announced that they were making new Star Wars stuff, I was keen to start looking up new info on Star Wars myself, because around this time The Old Republic was coming out. They actually had a whole wiki and stuff for it, and that you could learn about. And me being the nerd that I was like, I really wanted to get into a Star Wars game that was available and newer, and it was 2010, 2000, or it was 2012 or something like that when The Old Republic came out. But whatever. And they had tons and pages and pages and pages of lore before the Star Wars films. And so that's when I started to read about lore and read about how there was an entire universe created, and there was literally decades of books of fans that had been creating this universe by hand alongside George Lucas, or not alongside him, but essentially with LucasArts is okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then only when Disney to acquire Disney, they retconned all of that. Disney to acquire Disney to acquire Star Wars. My apologies. And they retconned all of that. They got rid of it all, right? When you guys heard about that, what did you guys think?
Well, I think it was frustrating. I think anyone that likes Star Wars and knows more than just what's in the movies is very frustrated by that it's all just thrown out. To me personally, I rather than retcon all of that, I just retcon the Disney movies and I just pretend they're not a part of the actual Star Wars universe. But it was frustrating because to me it felt more like, rather than they were making Star Wars movies, it felt like they were just making a movie and slapping the Star Wars name on it, rather than saying, okay, we're going to work with this universe. They were just like, no, we're going to make a Disney movie and we're just going to call it Star
Yeah,
Wars.
it's they use
The name.
the name and the clout to make money, and then kind of said,
Fuck it.
fuck
the fans.
everything else.
Fuck the lore.
We're just gonna use the name and what we want to do to make us money.
I think the biggest thing they said fuck you to was the quality. I don't know. That was just me. They really kind of said fuck you to the quality that the other Star Wars films had for their times. What about you, Cameron? What do you think?
What was the question?
What did you think when Disney retconned old lore?
Oh,
and
yeah.
rebranded it as Legends and got rid of all of it.
I was curious because I was disappointed about the Old Republic stuff, because that was what I was more of a fan of. The Legends after Episode 6, I didn't really familiarize myself with too much.
Yeah, to be fair, that got really complicated. Han Solo had 3 kids, and he had a whole lineage called the Solo lineage and blah blah blah. But I'm talking about the stuff in the past, you know?
Yeah. So I was all right, I'm down for something new. But then they started changing things, and it didn't feel right with me. So that's when I didn't like it. It just didn't
I
sit
think going back to what I said about how they're just making a movie and slapping Star Wars on it, it doesn't feel like going into the theater and watching these movies. I don't feel like I'm watching a Star Wars movie. I feel like I'm just
it's not
watching
like a Marvel
sci-fi.
film or something.
Yeah, it just feels like some sci-fi movie.
Marvel film.
essentially.
Describe that.
Well, if Marvel films follow a certain formula, you know what I'm saying? Which is, a lot of films actually follow a certain formula nowadays because it's very passable and very safe. Just look at The Force Awakens. And we'll talk about Marvel films as soon as we talk about The Force Awakens, so let's just get straight into The Force Awakens and I'll address what you just said. Alright, so what'd you guys think? Fast forward to 2014, 2015, whatever year it came out in. What'd you guys think?
2015.
Yeah, whatever the fuck.
And I thought it was good. I thought it was enough to recapture Star Wars in a sense, because it was very much like Episode 4.
Exactly.
Which is also what people had problems with, because it wasn't original.
They wanted to be safe. They wanted to be
safe. They just wanted to bring people back in and remind them like what it felt like to be a Star Wars fan, which I thought they captured in some aspects pretty well. But like, just the characters really didn't
Fell flat.
Yeah, I wasn't attached to any of them at all. Like, I didn't feel like
a lot of them have potential, and they still have room to grow.
Well, they have great actors and actresses. They're just like, the script and the writing was just not enough to like make those actors shine.
Yeah.
Here's my hot take on The Last Jedi.
Oh, The Force
Awakens.
Awakens.
The Force Awakens. Sorry.
I'm talking about that right now.
Well, really, both of them in general. I don't think it's as bad as some people say it is, because I know they made you really upset, and I know that there's a lot of people that are like, these are the worst films ever made. I fucking hate them.
I do fucking hate
them. And it's like I'm not going to disagree with you that they're bad, but I don't necessarily think that they're like. I don't think they're as bad as a lot of people make them out to be. I think people are just angry about them, but I also don't like them.
Not even just comparing them to the older ones.
Yeah,
it's like, you know,
there isn't a comparison.
Exactly.
The older ones are just a lot better.
They're just very, like I said, they're passable. They have a formula that works for Marvel films. You know what I'm saying? It's a formula that people actually get excited for, but for Star Wars films, it's not the same.
So compare the two.
Okay, so let's look at things like, I don't know, Thor, or actually, let's look at fucking the first Thor film. Okay, the first Thor film has a very, you know, simple plot line. You know, we have the beginning, you're introduced to the whole world, whatever. That's kind of like A New Hope. You know what I mean? A New Hope. The only difference here is that there's no, like, I guess there is a hero's journey too in Thor, in the first Thor. You know,
it's Thor is more of a rediscovery of what he had already.
Yeah.
A New Hope is just the hero's journey. That's literally
it's straight up the hero's journey.
It's
which
like,
is what the Jedi are
step
in general,
for step. It's the hero's journey. It's like literally, I studied that in a film class after learning about what the hero's journey is, and it's literally beat by beat. It's the hero's journey every single step of the way.
Instead of here's what I mean by Marvel. Instead of letting the hero's journey carry that all the way from beginning to end and having deep emotional aspects, they're gonna stop the movie whenever it's time to make somebody laugh. You know what I mean? Like whenever there's
forced
a joke,
comedy.
Yes, exactly, forced comedy, and it's like even if the joke isn't funny, even if it falls flat, it's like watching an episode of Friends without the laugh track. You know what I'm saying? It literally forces everything to force you to laugh. Just think about like The Last Jedi. You know what I mean? Half the scenes. Or okay, actually, let's keep it for The Force Awakens right now. The Force Awakens. We have that scene with Finn, and him and Harrison Ford bitch slap Captain Phasma. Such a character that has so much potential to be a badass character. They bitch slap Captain Phasma. There's a whole sequence where Finn just says, oh, I'm the master now. I'm the captain now, Phasma. Who's a badass? And then Harrison has to like, all right, kid, calm down. That whole scene was just like, that felt completely
Thank you for
unnecessary.
wasting like 2 minutes of
Exactly.
the movie.
Yeah, exactly.
And on not only that, but you wasted the perfect time to introduce another character's hero's journey, because you don't need to have one main plot. You could have subplots. That's kind of how a film works. You could have introduced Captain Phasma as the antithesis of Finn's character, and he could have did a Luke versus Phasma type thing with him and her.
I feel like
films.
Something that frustrated me with Captain Phasma's character is and also because it's the Last Jedi that she dies, right?
Yeah.
So yeah,
as far as we know, she might come back, but still.
It's what frustrated me about that character is it seemed like they were like, let's make a Boba Fett, but let's kind of make it a Boba Fett, but also kind of give it some character and not have it be just this mysterious figure. And it's like the reason Boba Fett worked is because he was just there, you know, and he had like a couple lines of dialogue where he talked to Vader and like a couple lines of dialogue where he talks to other people.
But he also has a very like, and I think he shares this with Phasma too. It's a very noticeable presence, you know,
intimidating.
Right. Yeah.
He's like the most dangerous man in the room.
Yeah, he can kill anybody.
And even though, like, in the movie we just watched, that's
Empire Strikes Back.
Empire Strikes Back. When he's at the what is it called? Floaty place. Bespin. When he's at Bespin,
don't you mean Beastman?
Beastman.
Shut the fuck up.
It was you. You said it was top of
He's in the background while Vader and Luke are talking. Yeah, your eyes are still on him.
Yeah, you kind of want to look at him.
He's not saying shit. He's chilling, but you're still looking at him because you're like,
yeah.
That's where the thread is. That's where the badassery is coming from in this room.
I can feel the big dick energy.
Yeah,
straight
big
from
dick.
that guy.
It's big.
Vader
dick
has it
energy.
too, but he's got it real.
And
bad.
then also on that too is when Luke first arrives in Bespin and he's trying to follow them, and then he thinks like they didn't see him, and then he comes around the corner and Boba Fett just pops out and shoots at him. It's like then okay, like this guy is aware of his surroundings. He knows what's going on, and he's the one that's gonna kill you.
He's got the killer sixth sense.
Yes.
But then you don't get any. He's still this mysterious figure at the same time. Whereas with Phasma, it's like
We get none of that.
yeah, it's like she.
Chrome dome.
And I think it's like a lot of it's the way he talks to Vader.
Yeah, he's one of the few
Because
people that talk shit. To
everyone's
true,
like,
yeah.
okay, and he's just like, where's
You know,
my
I didn't
money?
get paid. Yeah.
Where's my money, bitch?
He's like, Han Solo's no good to me dead. You better not kill him. And then
Yeah,
Vader doesn't like threaten him or anything. He's like, if we kill him, we'll compensate you.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
know?
he's not. He's just like, even Vader. I can just talk to Vader like nonchalantly.
There's a little bit of respect
Yeah.
between those two
Yeah.
characters.
And then
yeah.
like looking at it, you're like,
Professional respect.
why would Vader be afraid of this guy that just has a gun? And then like when you actually learn the lore around Boba Fett's character, you're like, Boba Fett could potentially kill Vader.
He's a bad motherfucker.
Yeah.
It would be tough. It would be a very tough fight.
Yeah.
Post-fight,
There was
but-
a comic where where Boba Fett practically almost did kill him.
Yeah, Boba Fett's a crafty fucker.
Mhm.
He survived the Sarlacc pit, or has that been retconned? What was I gonna say? We were talking about something else.
Phasma.
Yeah, Phasma.
Basically the sum of what I mean is that it feels like they wanted to get the same feeling of the mysterious character that they got with Boba Fett, except they didn't want to risk making it mysterious because they wanted the audience to get connected with the character still. So rather than being full on like, oh, it's just this mysterious character that has very few lines of dialogue and all you know is that his name is Phasma, or her name is Phasma, it's actually like, oh, this is Captain Phasma, she's in charge of this, and this is like some of her backstory, and like here's a few hints at what she's doing and where she's from, and blah blah blah. And it's like, no, you just like have her go up and just be tough to Kylo Ren or something. Like it's really not that difficult
really
to write
isn't.
that character.
But they didn't do anything like that. All they had her do was mentioned a few times, looking crazy, fucking looking intimidating.
And then like what
shit on.
you're saying about that scene where Finn gets all in her face and is like, who's the captain now? And like that's a completely missed opportunity.
Yeah, they killed her character that way. Instead they make her seem like the butt end of a joke, just like they made that red-haired guy Huxley, General Hux or whatever, in the Last Jedi. That's way ahead. They were building up to be somewhat at least capable or intimidating, and then in the Last Jedi they shit all over that.
Yeah,
exactly.
maybe it's because they wanted her to be some badass character, but at the end of the day, she still gets slapped around.
Yeah, but it's because there's a lack of continuity. It's like playing ad libs with the writing. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But enough about Phasma for now. Real quick, Gwendolyn Christie plays Captain Phasma. I fucking love her. She's a really tall, like blonde, like muscular woman.
From Game of
She's
Thrones.
yeah, she plays Brienne of Tarth, and she's a fucking badass, and I love her character.
For sure.
And that's a very strong female character right there, and they refused to use her. They could have made Captain Phasma one of the highlights of the entire film, and they refused to, so they threw her character away. And they did it in The Last Jedi as well. Let me see. Now that we're kind of done talking about shit like that, what else did you guys not like and like about The Force Awakens? What can you think of?
Oh shit.
I was
Ray.
Ray. I want to talk about Kylo Ren and Snoke.
Yeah, let's talk about that. We'll save Rey for The Last Jedi because most of the problems revolving around Rey come out in the next film. Let's talk about Snoke and let's talk about Kylo Ren.
So, I'm very
They hyped him up.
the problems that I have with Kylo Ren as a character really revolve around what happens in this next movie, because like the way that. And this again is probably.
We can save that if that's more so for Last Jedi. We can save that. For
No. It's both movies.
Okay.
The issue that I take with him is, and it's the main issue with it. I think is that it was two different directors, which I don't know why the fuck Disney decided to do
They did
that.
they did it the same thing for the originals. But the thing is, George Lucas was still like overlooking and still had the plots written out.
Right.
Yeah.
Literally, like the two movies were completely different directions, and now they're basically retconning the second movie.
J.J. Abrams, exactly.
J.J. Abrams is brought back.
He actually wrote not to cut you off or anything, but he actually wrote plot points in advance when he did The Force Awakens for the next 2 films for the next directors to take notes off of. But then when he was done, he essentially handed all of his scripts and shit, because he was hyped to work on this project. He handed all his scripts to Rian Johnson, or Ruin Johnson, however you know, whether you like him or not. He handed all his scripts over to Rian Johnson, and Rian Johnson just threw him in the trash. He said, "Fuck it, I don't give a shit about your vision."
Different.
Of course, different. He wanted to fucking make something.
Well, he wanted to butcher a series.
Exactly.
Kill it if you have to.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Anyways, so no, the issue I take with Kylo Ren is he seems like, and this is, I guess, more shown in The Last Jedi, but he seems like a type of character that's going to start off evil and then slowly work his way towards the light. But then it keeps going back and forth, and it's really hard to like see where they're trying to go with his character. And if he does kind of redeem himself, and this is why I think they're also bringing back Palpatine, or the Darth Sidious. I think that they are going to do that because they need another evil character for Kylo Ren to go against. You know what I mean?
They fucking slaughtered Snoke for some stupid.
Yeah, I don't know why they did, and it was.
Oh my God!
It was supposed to be like a subversion of expectations.
I'll talk about that later.
Like,
that's just a fancy word for not knowing what the fuck you're writing.
No.
Right. It's. I don't know. I think that
bothered me a lot too.
Yeah, and on top of that, one thing that bothered me about it also is that not only did they kill him, but then they did a close up of his face of him like with his tongue out, and he's like, oh, and he looked really dumb, and I was like, why would you build that up in the first movie just to fuck it up in the second movie?
I'm telling you, it's because he just did. The second director just wasn't having it, dude. He just didn't fucking know what Star Wars was. That's why we had a whole sequence that had nothing to fucking do with Star Wars. Canto Bite, where they're on some fucking space casino.
Oh, I completely forgot about that. I just shoved that out of my memory.
Yeah, obsolete.
Let's save some animals instead of saving these kids that are treated like slaves. Why are we here again? Because it didn't fucking matter at the end of the fucking day. What was the answer? What else? Oh, the big thing I had with Kylo Ren that I noticed. I was about to forget what we were talking about because I'm always ready to forget. Kylo Ren shouldn't have shown his face until he came face to face with his father. I think it would have been much more impactful if we never saw, because a big reason why Kylo Ren's character, at least for me, kind of died off super early is because they showed his face too early, and he was like a skinny, scrawny
baby face.
Yeah, he had like a baby face little kid, and I was like, this scene fucking sucks because he reveals it to Ray for no reason.
And Adam Driver is a really good actor.
He really is.
I don't know if you've seen Black Klansman. I highly suggest watching that movie. He's really good in that movie.
He's done a few notable films.
Yeah.
And it's nothing against him because he's a great actor. It's just
it's
the face. It's the writing too. But I wanted to see his face. It would have been perfect to show his face as like a weak boy underneath, an unsure child he's not confident in his own abilities and he's not prepared. If he had come face to face with his father,
right,
and that's when he would have taken his mask off for the first time. That's when we would have been able to actually see the face underneath.
I think that the issue now is that, well, because Star Wars is such a big thing, and now they're getting more big name actors rather than Mark Hamill and
Harrison Ford was big back then.
Yeah, but what I mean is that Adam Driver's not necessarily like a huge actor. I didn't know who he was until he started acting in Star Wars, and then I saw some of his other stuff. But I think the issue is that you have these bigger name actors that are coming on, and they want their face to be shown.
Why the fuck was Benicio del Toro even in the next one? I don't understand.
Wasted character. He shouldn't have been in that.
Shouldn't have been in that.
But what I think that, like, because in the original trilogy, Darth Vader goes through 2 whole movies without having his mask taken off a single time. Well, except, you see the back of his head in Empire Strikes Back, but you don't see his actual face. And then when you do see his face, it's covered in makeup because he's supposed to be all fucked up.
But he's still, it's kind of not a letdown, but it's like, it's almost, I don't know, eye-opening. When you see a character that's so damaged.
Well, it's a very symbolic thing, and it works for the movie. It makes a lot of sense for the movie, just the same way that you're saying Kylo Ren taking off his mask in front of his father would have been very symbolic, and it would have worked for the movie. And I'm not saying like, oh, just copy Darth Vader and like da da da. Like obviously the thing with Kylo Ren taking off his mask and having that be symbolic would be a very different version of symbolism
Yeah.
than what they did in Return of the Jedi. It's two completely different things.
What do you guys think? Any other problems you had with The Force Awakens other than it was, oh, fuck me, dude. I just remembered like one of the greatest fucking problems I had. Whoever wrote The Force Awakens, it wasn't just J.J. Abrams, it was like Kathleen Kennedy or something like that, doesn't fucking understand how military like tactics work or how the military works in general, okay? They build the Starkiller base in The Force Awakens, and all of a sudden the entire New Republic is wiped out in like a matter of seconds, right? It's supposed to be a callback to Alderaan, right? But get this, how the fuck does the New Republic, an empire that's supposed to last, or not an empire, but like a coalition or alliance or the fuck, that is supposed to span multiple planets, how is it automatically destroyed in like, how are 3 planets next to each other automatically destroyed in a matter of seconds, right? It's also, what the fuck happened to like garrisons? What the fuck happened to like, battalions? It's almost like, it's obvious that whoever wrote the books or whoever wrote the script for The Force Awakens kind of doesn't understand that like you're not gonna have all your fucking army on one planet.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying?
You're gonna be deployed on different planets,
Yes.
doing different missions and tasks.
Even Battlefront 2 fucking talks about how the 501st wasn't the only battalion on Felucia, and after they were done on Felucia, they were rotated out by some other fucking battalion because they had a different campaign.
And it's a whole plot point in Battlefront 2 that they get rotated off of the Death Star right before it gets
And that's
blown
why they
up.
survive, you know what I'm saying? And that's how military shit actually works. You don't have the same fucking battalion in Afghanistan for 300 days, 365 days out of the year. Yeah, that's not how it works. Otherwise, everybody have fucking PTSD.
And the whole point of Battlefront 2 was you, like, deploying to different planets, taking
Different
care of
campaigns
shit,
and whatever.
different campaigns. Then, okay, we finished our mission. Now we're going to do another mission on another planet. It's not like we're one giant army
On one planet.
on one planet.
And that's a big, like, a frustrating thing for me is like the Resistance, but okay, where's the Grand Army of the New Republic? Where's the normal soldiers? What the fuck? Why is the Resistance the only group fighting the New Order or First Order or whatever? It just doesn't make any fucking sense from a military standpoint alone. You know?
I think the original movies show more of like
The Rebels are on a bunch of
the
different planets,
rebellion
not just
is
one.
on Endor, Hoth, and every planet they go to with the rebellion, they have uniforms, vehicles that are for that planet, for
that's
that
true too.
area.
Even the lore and
So
stuff.
it's obvious that they have different battalions, different units and elements stationed specifically for those planets. And it's not like one big army that's like one uniform. They obviously get stationed and are designated to certain areas.
Not to mention that in the original trilogy, the main rebel base, like what would be like the United States, if the rebels were the United States, gets destroyed twice, and they still are able to regroup.
Yeah, exactly.
They're all over the place.
Exactly. That like first it's Yavin 4, or first it's Hoth, and then it's fucking, and it just doesn't make any goddamn sense. You know what I'm saying? Whoever wrote it clearly had like the very basic understanding of what military is like or how any war is fought. You know what I mean?
Right.
You don't have a whole army, and it's really bad in The Last Jedi. It's really fucking. It's even worse. I couldn't imagine it to get worse.
Yeah.
You know. Anyway, now that we're done talking about did you guys have any other problems with The Force Awakens? I'm trying to think of any other thing I might have.
I don't think at all.
We're running low on time though, so we should
we should move on.
get to, if you want to talk about Rey or just things about
I feel
The
like
Last
that'd be
Jedi.
The Last Jedi.
One thing that I do like about The Last Jedi, the only thing I liked about it was the throne room fight scene.
Okay, now I'm gonna address that too.
Did you not like that?
I liked it when I thought about what they were trying to go for.
Well, I liked the choreography of it, I guess is what I'm
If
saying.
If you actually go into it and see the choreography, like movement by movement, bro, it is. Rey misses her cues like 10 times.
Really?
There's like a ton. I will play it back for you after we're done with this. There's a scene, or there's a part where one of the fucking royal guards is like trying to swing at her, and she misses her fucking like moment to crouch, and he has to like swerve to avoid it. You know what I'm saying? And it's so obvious to me. You know, and I only had to watch it once to notice it because like I'm super into like sword fighting and shits, and I'm always like super analytical of how sword fighting is done. And so when it's obvious like that, I just get really triggered. That's just me, you know. Other people wouldn't notice it, and I like what they were going for that entire scene because visually it's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Your mic isn't picking anything up. It's only picking up on that one.
Who's my mic?
Yeah, your mic.
No, it's picking.
It's picking up.
No, it had literally just started happening.
It's picking up.
It's only been picking up on that for right here. At least.
Well, look at the sound waves. Is it picking up on that?
Yeah, it's been picking up on there too.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Sorry.
You
No.
fucked me up.
Well, because I didn't want the audio to be fucked up. We'd be wasting an hour.
Let's go to The Last Jedi then.
Okay.
So starting off on Last Jedi, we passed through Rogue One. We passed through all these other films. Rogue One was pretty fun. It was pretty cool. That was better than The Force Awakens on many fronts.
Far better.
And because it was darker, we skipped past all that shit. Last Jedi comes out. We're excited. What do you guys think of it? God damn it! What do you guys think of The Last Jedi when that came out?
Originally, I liked it more than The Force Awakens.
Because of the hype.
Not necessarily because of the hype, but mainly because I just felt like there was actually stuff going on. I felt like not a lot happened in The Force Awakens. I've only seen each of these movies once when I saw them in theaters, and I had no desire to watch them again.
Yeah.
So that's where the level is at, and I'm comparing two movies that I did not really like. I remember thinking coming out of The Last Jedi that I preferred it to The Force Awakens, but again, I hadn't seen The Force Awakens in a year when I watched. It had been a whole year, it was a year in between, right? Yeah, so it had been a whole year since I'd watched The Force Awakens, and then I went and watched The Last Jedi. And with that being said, I originally liked it more. Now, after hearing more reviews and seeing different arguments for both sides, I do think that The Force Awakens was a better film.
Yeah.
Still wasn't necessarily a good film. Mm-hmm. Especially from a Star Wars standpoint.
But I enjoyed it more. Mm-hmm. Here's the thing with me for The Force Awakens is I went to go watch The Force Awakens with tons of friends, and I wanted to watch The Last Jedi with tons of friends, and I enjoyed The Force Awakens the first time I watched it because I was with tons of friends. It was that feeling, that aura, that atmosphere. Oh, it's Star Wars, even though most of these people weren't Star Wars fans. They were just people that were high off the Star Wars.
That's another thing that annoyed me when these movies started coming out is a lot of the people that would make fun of me for liking Star Wars. Yeah, they all got super into it.
Bandwagons.
And that's the thing.
And now that the hype's dying down for it because everybody's upset about it, I guarantee you that none of them are going to be excited for it.
I hope so. I hope nobody cared about Solo.
Yeah, that's true.
And that was kind of what happened with me because as a kid I was obsessed with Star Wars. And then my childhood best friend that I would play Star Wars with every day moved away. And then my interest kind of died out. And that's when I started growing up and just totally forgot about Star Wars. And then The Force Awakens comes back, the trailer and
there was a lot of hype on
the title, and I'm just dude, oh my gosh! And my old spirits just came back, and me, my mom, and my sister all dressed up in Star Wars shirts and went to the movie theater and watched it opening day, and
it was a good feeling when you went to go watch it.
Yeah, that reminds me of the big hype around The Force Awakens.
Mm-hmm. I went to go watch both films twice. Actually, not The Last Jedi, not in theaters. I just watched that film twice, once at home and once after I told my parents to watch it because of how shit I thought it was. They watched it. My dad is very passive when he watches films. He's just oh, it's a film, I don't really care. And my mom is I actually agree with you, Sergio. This movie fucking sucks. But The Force Awakens.
Thank you.
That was a nice one, yeah. I tuned that out. The Force Awakens was a film that I watched the first time and enjoyed it because I was with friends. The second time I watched it with my family in theaters because I was high off the hype. And the second time I watched it, I was oh, this actually isn't as good. And I think a big focus that people tend to... I remember hearing this a lot from people that went to go watch The Last Jedi. A lot. I had tons of friends that I kept telling, guys, why the fuck do you like The Last Jedi? Even as I was watching The Last Jedi, I knew it was trash. I have a friend, I went to go watch with two other friends, and during that scene where Leia sucks herself, Mary Poppins back into the ship.
Yeah, that really bothered me.
Me and her looked at each other, and she said, bro, I can't believe they fucked this up. But a lot of people, this is an excuse I heard a lot of people say, is that they had to watch The Last Jedi. I watched The Last Jedi 5 times, and on the 5th time, I actually really liked it. And I was
it only took 5 times.
What were you smoking?
Disney had to hammer it into your brain that it's good.
If you have to watch a movie 5 times to enjoy it, what the fuck are you doing? That's not a good movie. I can understand a second time. I can understand not liking it the first time and liking it the second time.
Or if you're gonna study it. Do a character study like Taxi Driver or Apocalypse Now or something like that.
You might not like it the first time, but you'll probably like it the second time.
Or even if you like it the first time, just rewatching it to study the character.
Or Sicario.
Yeah, or Sicario.
I mean, it's slow as hell for pretty much the whole movie, except for the border scene, and then it goes back down and it's slow as hell. And nobody in my family liked it, and I was like, well, if you go back and look at the storyline and actually pay attention, it's actually a fucking awesome movie.
Yeah.
And I think that's what you were talking about.
More people can enjoy films if you decide to look at the film from like a perspective where you normally wouldn't. You know what I'm saying?
So, one thing that I want to say that bothers me about these movies is they took these characters from the original trilogy and they kind of changed them a lot.
They're not the way they should be.
Which I don't mind if you change a character if you have good reason to do so. What bothered me the most about Luke and Leia, especially Luke being like the crazy old man that tries to kill his friend's son that he's supposed to be
training. Let me make an argument against that, but I don't agree with it, and it's easy to refute. The argument that people always say about Luke is that, like, oh, he's a hermit. How does that make him any different from Obi-Wan and Yoda? Because all Jedi go into hermit hiding. First of all, Obi-Wan went into hiding to fucking keep an eye on fucking Luke because they were being oppressed. They were essentially, they're being hunted. They were being hunted by the fucking SS or some shit, you know what I mean? They had to be in hiding. Yeah. But they never gave up on the fucking Force. They weren't giving up on their people. They weren't giving up on the Force. They had an objective. Also, on top of that, you get to see why Obi-Wan does that in the prequels, which is something like... And also, you get introduced to Obi-Wan as a hermit. That's the first... You got to keep in mind that's the first introduction to that character that anybody ever had. So that's where his story starts originally. And he's still loyal to Luke. He's still there to protect Luke. I mean, no fucking old man is just going to happen to be on the same planet as the son of his best friend, you know? But then on top of that, when you get the prequels and you see why both him and Yoda went into hiding, you understand it a lot more, and you see how the characters got to where they are. The reason that it bothers me so much that Luke is the way that he is, and also that they had Leia suddenly be able to use the Force, was they didn't show how those characters got there. And they talked about it, and they had like little flashbacks and stuff, but they never actually had like a full scene showing like Luke watching all of his Padawans get killed by Kylo Ren, or the Knights of Ren going and destroying everything, or any scene where it's like Leia is they literally did not have a single hint that Leia knew how to use the Force until she gets blasted out and everyone's like, oh no, Leia's dead, and then she's like, nope, I'm good, and then sucks herself back in. And it's like, you can't just like everyone knew that she was Force sensitive as a character because she's related to Luke, and Luke is Force sensitive, so that's a given. But you can't like have her automatically. Yeah, exactly. Luke hadn't trained on Dagobah for who knows how fucking long. and then Anakin and Obi-Wan and all the other Jedi had were trained from when they were infants, and it's like, and then Leia just randomly knows how to do that. I guess she's been training off screen. Yeah, exactly. That excuse is so fucking. And it's like, here's the thing: is it's fine to say that a character has been doing something off screen, but you have to mention it at some point. Yeah, if it's shown or hinted at or mentioned that the character did that thing off screen. You have to, because you can't have the audience infer things without telling them, because you could say, oh, she was training off screen, and I could say, no, she wasn't. Yeah, I never. And then it's like, well, yeah, she was. And it's like, no, she wasn't. Yeah, she was. No, she wasn't. Neither. You can't argue either side because there's no proof. Yeah, exactly. The only proof is in the books, but we're not talking about the books. We're talking about what we see on screen. So that's what matters. Are you going to go to each and every theater to explain? Is the director going to go to each and every theater to explain why Yoda or Leia is able to use the Force? No, that's not what fucking works. You get what you get on screen, and that's it. You know. And if the story is shit, I'm sorry, you can't fix that.
You think she'd be a little busy with the managing the whole fucking rebellion? Yeah, exactly. To be able to go
creating the New Republic.
And it's like,
that's true.
From the get-go, Leia isn't a character to be up in arms and be a fucking badass. Like, she's not,
she is a badass, but not like
I know, but not in like a I'm gonna go and fuck people up sort of sense. Yeah. She's like the brains of the operation. Yeah. And she's like playing a game of chess. And she's the one to go out and use the Force and Force choke people. The other thing, so why the fuck would she be able to just magically know how to use the Force?
The other thing on that same note of not explaining things and not showing things,
Rey.
Not Rey.
I thought you should go that way too.
Well, yeah, Rey, I guess. But the thing is, Rey's character could still kind of be fixed. But also, and correct me if I'm wrong, there isn't much of an explanation of where the First Order came from.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
There's like they mention the Knights of Ren, and then they're like also the First Order
Yeah,
happens.
what the fuck is that?
Well, and the Star Wars Battlefront 2, the new one, the
Thrawn
campaign.
or some shit, right?
No. That was no. The Battlefront 2 was basically like the Emperor had a secret plan where he was gonna destroy everything and then rebuild the Empire in like a new fashion.
In the new Battlefront 2? Or
in the new Battlefront 2, yes.
Oh, then that doesn't count.
It does count because it's,
Yeah,
it's Disney's canon, so it technically does.
But I'm
count.
saying for us personally,
No.
I'm answering what he's saying.
Yeah.
And that basically what happened, that Emperor's plan turned into the First Order over 30 years. They just remained in hiding for a while, and then they popped up, and that's where Force Awakens happens.
So what the fuck was Snoke? Sidious's half-assed
No,
cousin?
okay. So
I don't
Snoke was apparently some powerful entity out in the universe, more powerful than Sidious, and Sidious was
what
afraid
the
of that.
fuck?
And he just
So-
And
basically
that's why
dies.
that's why he's trying to get Anakin on his side because he and Vader could take down Snoke, but it was so fucking
So
stupid.
Sidious was essentially Vitiate or whatever, the Emperor from like KOTOR and okay, that's fucking dumb, dude.
Yeah,
more
so-
shit that's more shit that's not has any that it doesn't have anything to do with the movies essentially. It's shit
Yes,
that's beyond.
it's shit that's like behind the scenes basically.
And then they just killed Snoke for no reason.
Yeah,
Yes,
in
he
the
was supposed
dumbest
to be.
way.
Oh, he was supposed to be so powerful, and I was ready like for a Luke and Snoke fight because Luke is fucking powerful as well, more powerful than his dad was. So I was just ready for this big fight, and then magically they die, and Snoke dies because he had his eyes closed and was like reading Kylo Ren's thoughts for some fucking reason.
His true enemy. Oh wait, could that be me? I don't know. And then die.
And that's it. And then Luke kills himself, basically.
Well, whatever. What is
Well,
it?
Luke becomes one with the Force, so he's
So-
basically gonna be the same way that like.
Obi-Wan
I feel like he
Yeah.
would have lived if Logic was alive. He would just play the 1-800 song.
All right, you were gonna talk about was it you who was talk about Ray? Because I can address Ray.
You go ahead and start with Ray.
I guess for in literary terms, Ray would be described actually any character that kind of is. Oh, that one doesn't work anymore. Literally, kind of any character that
You're gonna have to look at that one.
any character that can be described as a character that is instantly liked, all powerful, and can defeat anybody without actually ever learning is usually referred to as a Mary Sue or Gary Sue in literary terms. And Ray is the textbook definition of this, of this character, of this type of character.
Yes, sir.
So she's a character that never really trains. It never really explains why she's so good at what she does. Oh, but she trained with a quarterstaff on her home planet. Training with the fucking wood with a metal quarterstaff is not the same as training with a fucking lightsaber that can cut you in half if you happen to hit yourself with it.
And the Force itself.
If you watch amateur boxers fight professional boxers, the amateur boxer will get his fucking ass handed to him. That's not how it fucking works. You can't just expect to go toe to toe with the best in the universe. Also,
I don't like that Kylo Ren is given years of training under Luke, and then on top of that has more training when he joins the First Order and everything.
Still
but
loses.
not that he loses, but that he's shown as like incompetent.
Yeah.
Which is it's fine, I guess, if you're going for that with the character that this is an incompetent character that isn't capable of handling like responsibilities and actually like soaking up the things that are being taught to him. But there again, with the duality of his character that doesn't make any sense, is half the time he's this badass that it like when he gets introduced he stops exactly
blaster bolt.
and it's like, and we've never seen that get done before, and it's like holy shit, but then he fucking gets his ass handed to him.
Other than Vader like fucking catching the bolts with his hand.
And it's like we get introduced to his character like that, but then he gets his fucking ass handed to him
by somebody who has no training.
Exactly, yeah, and then on top of that, it's shown in the Last Jedi that she doesn't know what the fuck she's doing.
Yeah,
one would argue that in Episode 7 that he was trying to convince Rey, so he wasn't showing all his all.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
And still, at the end of the day, she goes against what he says and still doesn't lose. She still wins.
But still, it was kind of like how in Episode 5, like Darth Vader wasn't going to kill his son like that. Like he was trying to convince him to switch to his side.
Wait, who was trying to convince who?
Darth Vader was trying to convince Luke to come to his side. So it's it can be argued the same thing that Kylo Ren was trying to get Rey.
Well, because of Reylo, people want Kylo Ren.
Well, no. Well, there's that as well. But I mean, like he was like saying, I can show you the ways of the Force.
That is a common theme in Star Wars, is that the evil people are trying to get the good people to join their side. Kind of like trying to bring them down to their level, I guess.
Well, typically in some stories where like the new person would be the apprentice, and the old one offering would basically kill his master with their apprentice, and it would be like a
that's part of the rule of 2 for Sith stuff, extra shit. But
which is that even? Oh yeah, I guess
that's still technically.
But still, shit that doesn't even have anything to do with training. Rey is somehow better at fixing ships, fixing a Millennium Falcon than Han Solo is.
Yeah.
Even though she takes them apart, she doesn't really know how to put it back and then see how it's working.
How the fuck would she have any idea how to work on a ship that she's never seen before and that's fucking like 60 years older than her?
And is better than the owner itself.
Exactly. It's fucking dumb.
I think that's pretty much the big problem with the new movies is that you don't fall in love or resonate with the characters
because they're trying to force you to, you know?
Right, but I think
I want to like Finn so bad, dude. I want to like his character so bad.
The whole reason why everyone loves Luke is because you see him
rise from a little kid to be
transform, and you see his struggles firsthand, and you see him train, and you see him turn into this
wise man,
this badass,
like from this impatient little shit, to getting reality checked and basically.
Hell yeah.
He goes humbling himself, and then Rey's just like,
I don't have to change because I'm badass.
Rey's just like, well, in this first scene, I'm just gonna skip to magically being this badass within like half movie, and I never train, and we don't see the struggles.
It's what can be referred to as a passive protagonist. She doesn't really enact anything. Shit just happens around her, and she's just a driving force for some reason.
But we don't see the struggles that we see with Luke. That made
or even Anakin. You know, Anakin loses a lot too, even though he's the chosen one. He's literally supposed to be the Messiah. I've seen this argument. Do you want to say something real quick, Louis? Go ahead.
I was just gonna say it's literally character writing 101. Is that you write your character and you intentionally write a strong character that is going to be a prominent, interesting figure, and then you put them in the worst situation you could possibly put them in and make them lose a lot and you really put them in a situation where anybody else except for this character would fail.
Yeah.
And then that's where you get the true character, and that's where you really get to see them shine. They never do that to Rey. No, Rey's always able
She's able to get out of everything.
Like the way I would describe Rey's character is when they're running to the ships and she's like in pretty sure it's in The Force Awakens. They're running to the ships on her home planet, and they're running to one of the ships, and then she's like, it gets blown up, and then she's like, all right, the garbage will do, and then it's revealed that it's the Millennium Falcon, and it's like, it's like there's always like a really simple solution for her character. It's never oh shit, the ship just got destroyed, now we're gonna have to hide and then maybe steal somebody else's ship or something. It's like, oh no, this ship got destroyed.
Wow, the Millennium Falcon sitting here.
Yeah,
how
exactly.
Convenient.
And then when she was captured by Kylo Ren and she was just stuck on that like table or whatever when he was
and she learned how to fucking force control.
And then she learned how to force control, and then there was just conveniently a stormtrooper waiting that had a dumb mind, and she could easily just break out.
It's not like years of training to get into people's heads. It's like, hey,
fucking dumb.
Uncuff me, please.
Yeah, exactly.
And
okay.
I'm sure they're gonna try to fix that in
no, they aren't.
Rise of Skywalker.
I don't think they are.
They really aren't.
Dude,
well,
did you
they
see
can't.
In the trailer, she's jumping over a TIE
Yeah, I saw
fighter.
that. No fucking point.
You can't say, oh well, this character can do all this crazy shit, and then in the next movie be like, they can't do that anymore because that's just a shitty character.
What I was thinking was that they were gonna try to explain why she's able to do this stuff, but the thing is, like, it's still not going to work because of all this. They already told us that her parents meant nothing, you know? That her parents were nobodies and they just abandoned her, you know? So it's just like, okay, well, if you already told... were you lying to us? What's the deal? And just a real quick side note, they already said the last one was supposed to be the end of the Skywalker saga.
But now
it's called The Rise of Skywalker.
J.J. Abrams is back, and I guess this must have been his original plan.
Yeah, I don't know, dude. It's just... You can just tell that they regret the last one. But,
Cameron's got to pee.
Alright, go ahead, Cameron. Go pee-pee. Shit. Watch your language. What was I saying? Even though I've said fuck like 30 times. Come on, I need help here. Going back to, I was talking about Rey. I was talking about
that it's the end of the Skywalker series.
Yeah, before that, I was talking about like
her parents didn't mean anything.
Her parents didn't mean anything.
But that's the thing. Like her parents didn't mean anything. With Luke, you saw like
his father was Anakin.
Tatooine, and you saw what happened
to his aunt and uncle.
To his aunt and uncle, and that just like.
Starts it off.
That's that, and you feel that. Mm-hmm. You feel that because
it's the classic hero's journey. Something causes the main character to leave home,
and he literally says, "There's nothing for me here anymore."
Exactly. Now I remember what I was going to say. And I hear this argument made a lot that people try to say that Luke and Anakin are called, they're the male equivalent to the Mary Sue, which is the Gary Stu, which is a character that's instantly liked and never has to train. But, you know, those people have clearly aren't Star Wars fans, because if they were, they know that Luke and Anakin fucking get shit on nonstop. They lose all the time. Let's just point out the many ways they lose nonstop. Anakin he's literally a messiah. He is made by the midichlorians to essentially represent the Force. He is the Force-made avatar, essentially. Mm-hmm. And he still fucking eats shit.
Yeah.
He gets his arm chopped off. He gets his arm chopped off by Dooku, of all people.
He gets embarrassed by an old fuck that could be Santa Claus.
He's easily dislikable, and a lot of people don't like him because of how angry he is all the time. You know, he kills a bunch of Tuskens because he gives into his rage.
And then he kills children. Fuck, you beat me to it.
Yeah, he kills a bunch of kids too, you know, and
this is where the fun begins.
Oh no.
By the end of the trilogy, he literally has no limbs left.
He's fucked. He literally loses against Obi-Wan Kenobi.
But then that's what makes him more powerful, though, is that he didn't have limbs.
But anyway, talking about that shit is that later on, he loses again as Darth Vader. To who? His fucking son, who he beat in the 5th one. So Luke lost 2. Luke had to train. Luke had to do a bunch of crazy shit to get to where he was. And here's the funny thing: at the end of the film, you can both say they lose to each other because Luke beats Darth, Sidious beats Luke, and then fucking Darth is only able to kill Sidious by catching him off guard and throwing him off the fucking side of the thing.
Kill Sidious.
Whatever.
We don't know.
That's true, though.
If you put it that way, when does Anakin / Vader ever win?
Exactly, they never.
That's true.
None of them ever win.
And he's this like giant antagonist badass, and throughout the whole entire every movie, when does he ever actually win?
The only time he ever wins is when he's able to beat Dooku for the first time, and the only reason he's able to do that, is because. Why is he able to do that? Because he has Obi-Wan there.
Yeah, and even
and
then
also
Obi-Wan
Sidious
was like,
and also Sidious.
all he did was just.
Yeah,
Obi-Wan got taken out pretty early in that fight. He gets.
It was Obi-Wan. He got knocked out.
If anything, Obi-Wan was the Gary Stu because he fucking kills fucking Darth Maul. He kills fucking Anakin at the end.
Yeah.
But I still love his character.
Well, he was more established than Ray was.
He loses everything at the end too. So.
That's true.
And then he loses everything.
So he still loses at the end of the day. He even loses the man closest to him, you know, which is his brother. He
loses Qui-Gon.
He lost his father, which is not blood
father figure,
but father figure, his mentor Qui-Gon.
That's another thing that kind of bothers me about the sequels is that it seems like they're afraid to kill the main character.
Yeah, they didn't want to kill Finn, and they did that shit with Rose, and that was completely fucking useless.
Because that's one of the parts in The Last Jedi where I was actually like, oh shit, and then I was ruined. I was like, I was literally sitting there in the theater like, and then
this will be the most ballsy thing in the entire film.
Fucking god!
That was my exact reaction too, bro.
I knew exactly what was gonna happen.
It's like
I knew that they were
it's Disney.
It is. It really is.
It's like the fairy tale Disney version where it's like, oh.
Yeah,
it's that Marvel concept that he was talking about.
Yeah.
Like they don't want to kill off the heroes just yet.
But then they had the one lady that I don't even remember the name of sacrifice herself, and it was like they made like a whole big deal out of it.
That should have been a character that we already fucking knew about.
I always say
Admiral Akbar.
Yeah, it should have been.
Yes, Admiral Akbar would have been perfect for that.
Should have been him. It should have been Poe. It should have been Finn. It should have been any character that
some character we never see. I don't want to get this into politics, but there's a big political reason why they had that whole thing, but we're not going to talk about that. But essentially, that character was fucking useless, and we had no emotional connection to her. And also, another problem I had with Last Jedi is they fucked the entire concept of light speed for all eternity.
Yeah.
Okay? Otherwise, just think about this for a second. Why the fuck do we even have... Why do we fight wars in ships? Why don't we just make ship drones and then launch the empty ships at each other through light speed, if that's how fucking light speed works? No, think about light speed for a second. If light speed is just going really fucking fast through space, you would crash into like planets and fucking other ships and shit, if that's all it is, right? Physically. But that's not how it is, because clearly Star Wars is established in previous lore, or just from your basic fucking, common sense. It's a fucking wormhole. You are traveling through... I'm getting really heated talking about this shit. You're traveling through an alternate dimension. You're bending space-time to your will. You're not actually traveling very fucking fast. And clearly that's another sign that whoever directed that film, Ruin Johnson, didn't understand what he was writing. He didn't understand what he was directing.
And you look at any previous movie, or even in the video games, like The Force Unleashed, you physically see the hole that they're traveling through. You can tell.
It's like, and then it's a hole, right?
You can tell it's a wormhole. Not that it's the stars just moving really fast.
Mm-hmm.
You can tell that the space bends
around them.
Really quick, I want to speak on the thing that you said about it being political. I think that is part of it, but I also think that a big part of it was Disney saying we don't want to kill off any main characters, so we're just going to come up with this random character.
Admiral Akbar wasn't a main character.
Yeah, but I think that
they did kill him off.
Yeah, in the way
in
we
a stupid
did
way.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's like, oh, we're not going to kill anybody because we don't want to upset anybody because we don't really know exactly what we're doing.
Yeah.
And then everyone's like, what the fuck? You ruined it anyway.
Yeah. Well, it's like what you were saying about what game was it? I think we might have been talking about Battlefront, where you were saying they try to appeal to the masses rather than just appeal to their actual. It's like if ShamWow were to come out with a infomercial that was directed towards kids, and the justification was we haven't hit that market yet, and it's like kids aren't gonna buy a fucking ShamWow. Like, and if they do, they're gonna buy it, and then they're gonna be like, "This thing fucking sucks. I don't actually like this."
And then they'll buy a Star Wars toy.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like it's the same thing for the people that they're trying to market to. Maybe they'll go see it because it's marketed towards them, and they're like, "Oh, cool. I might actually be able to get into this thing." And then they're like, "No, I don't think I actually like this. I'm not gonna watch the next one." Whereas other people other people are like you and me that are actual Star Wars fans. Had they just made an actual Star Wars movie, I would have gone and saw.
Shit.
There's a spider.
Yes, spider.
I would have been happy to go see the next one and the one after that.
I hear this term thrown around a lot, dude, and it's the term. Sorry, spider. I just murdered a spider. I'm sorry. I hear this term thrown around a lot. First, in regards to like Star Wars and how it's different, I hear this term all the time. Change. It's good to get change. You're right. It's good to change things that suck. It's good to change things that are broken. You know what I'm saying? Don't change for the sake of change. Change because something doesn't fucking work. That's how it works. You know what I'm saying? You don't just change a film for a new and the other argument is, it's Star Wars for a new generation, or any franchise for a new generation.
I already know what you're gonna say about that.
And I always talk about this. When were you born?
I was born in 1999.
And you love all the Star Wars films. When was the first Star Wars film made?
It's like 74 or 75.
Okay, and you still like it?
Yeah, I personally like the original trilogy more than the prequels. Not saying that I don't like the prequels. Mm-hmm. The original trilogy is just, they're clearly better films.
Yeah.
And I prefer them to the prequels. Those movies came out in 1975, years before I was even considered to be conceived. It still holds up to this day. It's like saying like Psycho, they need to remake it for this next generation. It's like, no, Psycho still holds up to this day because it's a good fucking movie.
And they were old when we were kids.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
and we still fell in love with them. That's the point I'm trying to make, bro. You don't have to make anything for a new generation, because if people like what they like their own interests.
It's timeless.
You know it's timeless. The reason why I enjoyed the first Jumanji so much is because it has jokes that aren't trendy. The minute you make a film trendy, you're dooming that movie to only be popular in the short term.
Like Fast and Furious.
Like Fast and Furious films. People will only look positively on those films because of the atmosphere around them. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Or like, this is really a whole separate thing, but the movie Black Panther, I'm not saying anything bad about that movie. I really like that movie. There's a joke specifically in there that I know a lot of people already know what I'm talking about, is the "what are those" joke.
Yeah.
That movie got released months after that joke was popular, and so I'm sitting there in the theater and really enjoying this movie, and then T'Challa just goes, "What are those?" Or no, Shuri goes, "What are those?" And I was like,
"Oh fuck."
Yeah.
Shit like that.
And it's like, that's just one joke in the entirety of a great movie that really dated that.
And The Last Jedi was full of shitty jokes. They weren't necessarily trendy, but they're just not good jokes. You know, your mom jokes and shit like that. What is that at the start? And putting all the attention on it, and it's just not.
I know you've said this before about like jokes in the original trilogy, they're not focused on.
Yeah.
Like Chewbacca in A New Hope, there's a part where he pops his head out while everyone else is having a conversation. And it's kind of in the background and it's funny, and we were all watching it together and we laughed at it.
Yeah.
But it wasn't the main focus.
Yeah,
whereas
they're still talking.
Yeah, whereas like in the sequels, there's a part where like Poe gets put on his knees and he's face to face with Kylo Ren, and there's like this really dramatic pause, and then he's like, So who talks first? You talk first. I talk first,
Yeah.
and I was like, oh my god.
Or Luke Skywalker, you know, it's super intense, and Luke Skywalker, because they don't know how to fucking write, he throws his own lightsaber over his shoulder and walks off to kill the hype, you know? It's just a perfect example
And
of not knowing what
and
to
then they
do.
justify it by saying we're subverting expectations.
Here's the problem with that whole fucking argument. First, it's just fancy terms for shit directing, shit writing, and not knowing how to carry the scene because you don't actually know what emotionally resonates with the audience. You just don't, so you don't know how to fucking carry that through. And also, plot twists for the sake of plot twists removes the surprise.
Mm-hmm.
There is no subverting expectation when I expect the movie to just get dumber and dumber. You know? The only thing that movie subverted the only thing that like blew my expectations away for that movie is that like I was expecting that movie to be better than The Force Awakens, and I was wrong. That's the only expectation it subverted. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, just real quick to go back to like fucking what was it talking about? Like trendy jokes or some shit before that.
Not making things timeless.
Yeah, people like what they like. Just to finish what I was saying, just to finish my point. If you read comic books from the 90s, you know, and you're old, I like films from the fucking 80s to this day. I like movies that were made before my time to this day. It's because they strike a chord in me. You know, they're interesting, and that's how it works. People don't. Well, you know what I'm already trying to say.
Yeah, like,
people like what they
Pulp
like.
Fiction, Full Metal Jacket.
Well, it's like
Apocalypse Now.
To give more of a modern example, I guess Nightcrawler came out in I think like it was 2012 or 2015. I think I'm not really sure. Yeah, it was around there. It was like early 2010s. That movie came out. Still to this day, it's one of my favorite movies. It's now 2019. Still one of my favorite movies. It's still going to be one of my favorite movies because it's not dated in 2012 or 2015 or whatever it came out. It's just a good movie.
Exactly. That's what I'm trying to say. If it's good, you will be drawn to it at any point in your life. That's it. You don't have to change anything to meet you don't have to change anything for a new generation. That's not how it works. There's no point in changing things if they don't need to be changed.
Yeah, and I think it's just a huge break of immersion.
Of course. When you stop everything to tell a shitty joke.
Yeah, or it's like a joke, like what are those?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's in our world, but I'm saying for Star Wars, it's like...
It's another world entirely.
Yeah.
You know?
Like, that kind of just breaks the whole point of it being in a galaxy far, far away. When you make a stupid joke that is obviously
that's
like...
catered towards a 2019 audience.
Yeah, exactly.
When
and people are going to
on Earth.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Well, is there any other? I have tons of other things that I can like nitpick about.
We can
Last
do
Jedi.
that another time.
We can talk
We
about
are out of time.
Yeah.
We've been out of time.
Real quick, let's just briefly address why do you guys think Solo failed? Do you guys think it was franchise fatigue? I know it wasn't franchise fatigue.
No.
It was because Last Jedi kind of sucked.
I think it was Last Jedi sucked. I think it was because nobody asked for a Solo movie.
Yeah.
I think it's because there was a huge when that movie came out. A lot of people wanted to boycott it because it wasn't the Kenobi movie, which kind of backfired because now they're considering not doing.
They just kind of killed
those.
Solo in that movie.
Yeah. And so it's nobody's fault except for Disney that Solo failed.
Well, number one, I didn't even watch the movie, but my reasoning is a lot of that's something you just need to let be.
Yeah, people. I talk about this.
You watch all these movies. Han Solo's fucking phenomenal.
Yeah, we don't need any more than that.
You need to let it go. He died, which was okay. It was a good send off, but
No, it wasn't.
Could have been better.
It could have been better, but it happened. That's the end. Let it go. That's like the classic. That's if you're gonna do anything, a little spin-off, you don't want to do something that you can eventually fuck up.
Yeah.
That's something that you should have let die.
Yeah. That being said, Solo wasn't like particularly bad. Again, it wasn't.
That's a really
good.
cool parts at the beginning, but it wasn't that good.
It was alright.
It's
It
like
was-
taking. It's like you
It
could
was
have
fine.
taken a worse character and
Yeah.
made something better of it, but you take an amazing character
And shit on it.
and you're just like, okay, well we're just gonna shit on him,
Yeah.
and now it just ruined it for the rest of the movie.
Exactly.
And it wasn't necessarily the shit on him, but they kind of did. They really
Well, it's
did.
like
They kinda
again,
did.
it's like what he's saying. You come out with a Han Solo movie.
What,
It has to be on the level of Han Solo's character.
What's Han Solo? So without
Han Solo's
Harrison
character
Ford.
was up here. Han Solo's movie was down here.
Exactly.
That does not work.
I agree with you.
And
we have our own
again,
vision of Solo in our mind.
Yeah.
Let him die as a legend.
exactly. And that's why I'm saying, like, for me personally, Disney's like, oh no, all of that old stuff doesn't matter anymore, and we're doing our own thing. No, you're gonna do your own thing. This stuff matters to me.
Yeah, exactly. And a lot of that old stuff is good already, and you guys just refuse to use it.
And there's a lot of content, Star Wars content, that I haven't consumed yet from that, like books, comic books, video games, short films, fan made stuff that I just haven't consumed yet. I don't fucking need Disney.
Yeah.
I have plenty of stuff, Star Wars stuff, that I can go and look at and do. Season 7 of the Clone Wars is coming out, which I'm really excited about, even though that's by Disney. It's
technically it was started by Cartoon Network, but
well, no, but now it's under the Disney like franchise. Regardless, it's gonna be good because they don't really. It's like Apex being by Respawn, but EA is like the parent company.
Yeah.
It was good because Respawn did it, and they were like, EA had nothing to do with this.
Yeah.
Clone Wars is gonna be good because Disney has nothing to do with it.
And on that note, talking about further content and everything outside of the Disney spectrum, or actually it's still in the Disney spectrum, but what do you guys hope to see in the Star Wars universe? Just random things, like for me personally, I remember seeing the one cool thing that struck a chord with me for Solo was like the very beginning and how gritty it was and how like writing was a huge problem in that fucking movie. But I know what they're trying to go for. That whole sequence when they're on that like war-torn planet and like Solo was a part of like the Imperial Brigade or some shit, Imperial Army or some shit, not like a stormtrooper but like the raw recruits, the green guys, whatever the fuck. Green guys, whatever. That whole sequence, that whole war, I wanted to see more of that. You know what I'm saying?
Cool.
What about you guys? Like, just what are things in general?
Nitty gritty, gory Clone Wars.
Yeah, exactly. Gritty, gory, something.
No. Okay,
It's not the classic. Pew! It's like people getting fucked up on the battlefield.
Rogue One was dark, but it still like had potential to go even further. I don't mind it being if it's not like super dark, but like I agree with you.
I want to basically. To that idea, what I want to see is a movie that is the entire theme, or not the entire theme, the entire feel of the whole movie is the hallway scene with Darth Vader in Rogue One.
That would be sick.
I want a whole movie like
Christopher
that.
Nolan should direct
because then you'd
Star Wars
ruin
movie.
that scene if you make a whole movie like
Not,
that.
he's not saying like that. But
No,
he's saying
I'm saying I want it to have that
with that
same
intensity.
feeling. Yeah,
But
it like stress. Like if you know how when you watch Dunkirk, it's like constant stress. You know?
Yeah, that was the purpose of that.
But now,
Exactly.
now being acquired by Disney,
Or Interstellar.
being acquired by Disney kind of like kills the hopes of getting something.
I mean, that movie was under
Gory or
Disney
bloody.
though, and I was blown away by that scene.
But they had to reshoot Rogue. I remember reading about how they completely redid Rogue One because.
Yeah, because everyone was supposed to survive at the end.
Was that it? I thought
Yeah,
they were. I thought there was
everyone-
other things too.
Everyone was going to survive. Well, there was everything, but the main consensus was the end is that everybody was going to survive.
Yeah, I'm glad they died.
But
even then, I mean, I wasn't even phased at the end. I was like, everyone died. Oh well,
Yeah, I wasn't
whatever.
surprised.
Well, that's another thing of like not really getting you that connected to the characters.
Yeah, it was just you're just supposed to know the story. That's really it, But yeah, darker shit would be much more welcome. Old Republic shit would be much more welcome. Learning about the Jedi Order before.
there was something in Solo, which I'm just going to what I'd like to see, which is basically continuing what you're saying, is at the end of Solo, they introduced Darth Maul again.
Yeah.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
He's the most powerful crime boss in Star Wars after the Clone Wars.
Fuck yeah.
So
The only thing with them doing something based around Darth Maul is we already know how he dies.
I wasn't gonna say anything like that. It was gonna be more underworld stuff, like the gangster underworld.
Yeah, like
that,
Star Wars
what-
1313.
like maybe have Darth Maul just like rule over everyone. And then they had what's her face from Game of Thrones?
Daenerys Targaryen, Emilia Clarke.
Have her as like a main character for the new underworld, because like she
was a solid point of Solo.
She was.
Yeah, 'cause
she was one of the better parts.
Yeah.
A lot of the Star Wars universe is like the shitty bounty hunter scum.
Mm-hmm.
I
Of
would
like the cantina sort of vibes of like a bunch of douchebags that
I would like to see something revolving around bounty hunters, except
Mandalorian is coming out.
yes, but I don't want to see anything based around Boba Fett because I don't trust them with that.
I don't want to like Han Solo. Like I
Yeah,
don't want to ruin
exactly.
it.
Make news stories is what I want to see.
Yeah.
News stories, and if you want to do whatever type of like political thing or type of like scenario, you can do it so long as it's a new character. If you want to do like a hardcore war film, not make a whole new era, just set it in an era where that's possible, and make a character where that is possible. Because the Star Wars universe is so big and expansive, it's just so like well thought out that you could essentially create a pirate story if you want. You can create whatever fucking story you want.
I think we're gonna have to wrap it up.
wrap it up.
That camera just stopped recording too, so the screen is going to be black now for all of our video
Sorry,
watchers.
guys.
But
I guess we'll just cut it off here.
yeah, thanks for watching. Sergio, do you want to do an outro?
Yeah. Thanks for listening to us rant. Essentially, we try to get other people. We try to like look up other types of topics and like defensive points for films like The Last Jedi and for Disney, Star Wars in general. But
Just also, I want to say to that point, I did actually like look through YouTube and things like that, and a little bit on Reddit and a few other websites. I had a hard time finding arguments for The Last Jedi and for The Force Awakens.
yeah, they seem very. A lot of the arguments I could find were very like positive, and like they just refuse to look at certain like details. And I agree. There's details that are whatever. I digress. To wrap it all up, this is essentially the segue into our like movie doing podcast type stuff.
Yeah.
We're going to be watching films and talking about them and dissecting them and just giving our own opinions on them. And so what better way to start than on Star Wars, one of the most iconic franchises of all time.
To again piggybacking off that, sorry. When we're talking about doing films, we're not going to do them in the same way that we just did this one, where we're talking about the whole franchise.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be more a specific film, like, and we're planning on doing a couple that we even mentioned in this podcast, like Nightcrawler and Psycho and things like that. We're going to dissect.
Apocalypse Now.
Oh yeah, Apocalypse Now is going to be a big one.
Don't even whisper it. Say it with your chest. Apocalypse Now. Woo!
But we're planning on doing those films and analyzing those films alone.
Yeah.
And not outside of the films, not what's going on around the films, analyzing the film, the characters, the plots, the things like that.
We can go in more detail about what's going to happen when we actually do that.
Yeah.
Though,
Yeah.
because
Thanks
we
for
don't
listening,
need to
guys.
sell it right now. This is a
Yeah.
Star Wars podcast.
Thanks for listening, though, guys. It means a lot. We love you guys. Hope you tune in next time. Anything else you guys like to add?
Sorry if we...
Merry Christmas.
It's not anywhere near Christmas. Sorry if we made you angry
Merry
with some
Christmas.
of our opinions, but leave comments down telling us how much of pieces of shit that we are. For
Keep
having
it
a
civil,
different
to be
opinion.
honest.
I mean, you're not wrong.
Keep it civil. Jokes aside, we can have a good discussion and whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's it. Thank you for listening to The Garage. Thank you for tuning in. Hope you guys have a good one. This is Sergio signing off.